So not content with two big Battleforce box sets for the launch, it seems that Games Workshop have also revealed the Combat Patrol set for Chaos Space Marines, and it's all looking rather possessed. Let's take a look at the kits included and how it stacks up in the numbers versus the old one. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking Chaos once more, and it seems that amidst all the reveals in the Adepticon preview show that I talked about in the previous video, there was one that I managed to miss, not actually talked about in the reveal show or in their article that I saw. I guess perhaps slightly neglected in favour of talking about the Chaos Space Marine box sets, but we also had the announcement of the Combat Patrol, the box that's going to be updating the Chaos Space Marine one for 10th edition, and for some reason we're getting wind of this one early around the Codex reveal, unlike when the actual Codex comes out like we've had with a few of them. At the moment it's interesting that I don't think we know the Custodes or the Orcs Combat Patrol yet, in spite of them having had a similar reveal show. Basically this one will be the discount box set for Chaos Space Marines going forward, once those battle forces have been released and then presumably sold out. Jumping straight to it, and in the new Combat Patrol box we've got this image here. There's a Master of Possession, 5 Possessed, 1 squad of 10 Chaos Legionaries, and 1 squad of 10 Chaos Cultists. My first thoughts were that they do look like all pretty usable units for the faction, a good amount of troops to hold down the battle line and get you objectives, and one big scary danger unit, all of which have some pretty fun new models. Judging by the way that they're modelled, it looks like the Chaos Legionaries won't have the Kill Team upgrade sprue, as it actually be in the Legionary one with the bits for the Balefire Tome and the Chain Cannon. It seems that in general for the Kill Team expansion sprues they don't tend to put them in the discount box sets for the most part. In game those miniatures add up to 455 points. It looks like it's more or less joint best with the new Combat Patrol releases for 10th edition. The Dark Angels one maybe just pipped it out very slightly, being 465 points in the box rather than 455. I guess it's good news within the scope of 10th edition Combat Patrol box sets, though it's still not standout compared with previous ones. 2.8 points per dollar isn't exactly crazily exciting within the scope of 40k, but I'd argue it's far from one of the worst ones on that front. The main thing that drags this box set down is having the cultists in the box rather than a different unit. They still cost a good £30 per 10 of them, and they only cost 55 points in game, so the vast majority of the points cost is being carried by all the other units. Adding them up in terms of a discount kit, their price individually looks like it will be £130, $210 US, or 175 euros if you went to Games Workshop and purchased all of these kits individually. That equates to a 27% discount overall, kind of mid compared with the 9th edition Combat Patrol boxes, but compared with the 10th edition ones, that's on the upper end. We've had a few now that are around about the 30% so sort of mark. Full discounts on buying separately, the Master of Possession is kind of a strength for this kit. At the moment he's an online only one, which means that a lot of discount retailers don't stock him, or if they do, their discount isn't anywhere near as good as it would otherwise be. So if you have him in this box set, you can get the usual friendly local gaming store sort of discounts wherever you might be in the world, on top of any savings from this box set. Does make him a lot easier to access. Overall, not the most amazing crazy standout saving, but also not one of the worst ones. Definitely enough to be interesting enough to Chaos collectors, I suspect. For thoughts on the models themselves, all the sculpts are at least from the more recent era of Chaos Space Marines. The Possessed and the Cultists came out in 9th edition, and I believe both of the Master of Possession and the Legionaries ones were from 8th edition, I think around the Versus box between Space Marines and Chaos Marines. I'd say that all the models are nice enough. I do particularly like the new sculpts on the Possessed and the Master of Possession. In terms of gameplay, I'd argue that at least at the moment all of these are usable for Chaos Space Marine collectors. Cultists and Legionaries do genuinely crop up in competitive lists really quite regularly. Nice to have just some cheap bodies to hold the objectives. Cultists get that sticky objective kind of rule, which is often helpful to have around. And Legionaries are really quite cheap bodies for how much threat they are. 90 points per a squad of 5 of them. They're reasonably good defense, objective control too, and they get that Veterans of the Long War special rule to allow them to reroll wound rolls against enemies on objective markers. That's a pretty big deal in combination with their Dark Pact. It does mean that a small squad of them can be really quite a outsized threat to an enemy unit on an objective point. I'd say the Possessed are pretty good as well, certainly solid enough. They're fast, tough and dangerous. It's nice to see a Combat Patrol box where the character can actually lead one of the units within the same box. For some reason they've not been going that way with the Tau one they revealed or the Dark Angels one. Still seems in competitive lists, Possessed aren't used crazily frequently. People are still often using Chosen in Rhinos with Chaos Lords or some of the other Chaos Space Marine Danger options, but I feel like they're really not all that far behind the quote-unquote optimal picks and are perhaps easier to use for newer players to Chaos Space Marines. Being a bit tougher to enemy return fire doesn't really hurt, and moving quickly with a whole bunch of devastating wound melee threats is rather nice. The Combat Patrol will replace this one, which has a Hellbrute, a Dark Apostle, 10 Legionaries, and 5 Havocs in it. Whenever I've done videos ranking the Combat Patrols, this one was seen as a generally okay Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol, not crazily standout amazing, but not bad either. Quite a bunch of core units, including a big centerpiece in the Chaos Dreadnought. For the numbers for this one, at time of recording, it looks like the points in the box is 530 points, so a bit more than the replacement one, and also the discount was a little bit more than the replacement one as well, mainly due to swapping out those cultists with Havocs in this one. In general, I feel like you could argue the usefulness of the miniatures contained within. The Hellbrute could be an interesting focal point for dark packs and making some units just obscene damage output. The Havocs were kind of rarely taken competitively, but are still really quite fun Chaos Space Marines with big chunky guns. It does mean that Games Workshop appear to be continuing their unbroken run in 10th edition of both having lesser discount for the Combat Patrols and also fewer points in the box. The discount isn't really too dissimilar on this one, losing 7%. The points in the box is quite a lot less though due to the cultists dropping down 14%. It is kind of impressive that they managed to reduce literally every single Combat Patrol box set you actually might want to buy in 10th edition by both of those metrics. The Tyranids might not have, but then you'd never pick up that box set due to the existence of the 40k starter sets. As per normal, it's also going with the trend of removing the big scary thing from the Combat Patrol, so that's why the Hellbrute's gone. In general, they're trying to make it playable for the actual Combat Patrol game system, and in general it's a bit easier for unit interaction if everything can actually damage each other efficiently, which you often can't if you've got a big tough thing with a 2+ save. Lots of units are just going to do literally nothing against it. As per the other Combat Patrols, I'd consider this your around 2 months or so notice for the Chaos Space Marine one if you were looking to pick it up. At the moment, we don't know exactly when Codex Chaos Space Marines and the Battleforces are going to be dropping. It's got to be at least a good few weeks away though, given that we've got the Orcs and the Custodians releases to come, plus also the big release for the Tau alongside all the individual new Kroot kits. As always, if you were looking to pick up this one and get your hands on Hellbrutes and Havocs before they're taken out of the discount deals, I do have several channel affiliate links down in the video description. Always nice to get a discount on a discount of Games Workshop Combat Patrols. You can get them for like £81 at Element Games or $144 from Wargame Portal in the USA. As per normal with these though, I'd certainly not just go out to buy them for fear of missing out. Chaos Space Marine players are going to be spoilt for choice for discount deals for a little while given the Combat Patrol and 2 different Battle Forces, but probably just worth being aware of if this was on the absolute must-buy list for you. Just be aware that it's not going to be around in general supply for all that much longer. At least when it launches, I guess it'll be competing against these 2 rather fun-looking Chaos Battle Forces. There's the Veterans of the Long War one, which is perhaps one of the more sort of core Chaos Space Marine ones. That one gets you that new sculpted Lord on foot, 5 Possessed and 5 Chosen, 10 Legionaries and 10 Terminators. The other one's the Dread Talons box set, which is a little bit more unusual. It's mainly about jump things with the Jump Pack Lord, 10 Raptor or Warp Talons, plus the Demon Prince, which could be with wings, and then a Cultist Horde with the Dark Commune, Accursed Cultists, and some regular Cultists in it. These will likely only be available until stocks sell out. I imagine that they'll be at least fairly popular. My guess is they'll probably be priced alongside what the Christmas Battle Force box sets were, £140, €180 or $230, so significantly more expensive than the Combat Patrols. After these, my instincts are that more people will be interested in the Veterans of the Long War. It's just got quite a lot more core Chaos kits in it, though I feel like maybe if you've already got an established collection, maybe building out the Raptor and Cultist Hordes might be something that's a bit more tempting to add for experienced players. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are, how they stack up versus the new Combat Patrol. Obviously you get more miniatures here, but of course they cost a lot more. As I mentioned in my last video, I will be doing these ones for the May Auspex Tactics channel giveaway. I'll not labour the point of this one given that I talked about it in the last video, but as per normal that works in the same way as other giveaways. Either support the channel on Patreon for any amount, or support on social media via entering via the giveaway post on the 1st of the month. If you want to be entered into the random number generator for that, And of course, we've still got the Custodians and Orcs one to come for that. The Facebook post will be on the 1st of April, and winners announced on the 4th for the Custodians and Orcs one. Check out the last video with the Adepticon reveals if you want me to go through that in a bit more detail. In any case, I'll be interested to hear which one you guys think is better. I feel like in terms of interest and cool models, the two kits are both really quite interesting really. I do like Possessed and the Master of Possession. I feel like the new one might be just a particularly easy force to slot into any new starter Chaos Space Marine army. The one on the left maybe just feels like it's got a few more suboptimal picks, at least for Chaos Space Marines at time of recording currently. The numbers definitely favour the old one in terms of both discount and points on the board though, so that is a big disadvantage there. I'll be interested to hear which one you think is better. Look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments in any case. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this, as I do tend to keep up with Games Workshop's news and rumours as often as I can. I'll certainly be looking forward to talking some more Chaos Space Marines in the future, hopefully doing a bit more of a deep dive on those new Battleforce box sets and how they're looking for a good deal and racking up against each other. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and that's the main way in which I can continue to make content like this quite so regularly. Channel patrons do get a few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.